All right. Testing one, two, three. Something I need to do is this. Do. And of course. Of course. All right. Setting up here a little bit. We are live and we are public. All right. Cool. Well, welcome everybody to the live preview of Real Crypto Power Hour. I just got a text message. So yeah, crypto markets looking pretty good. Um, although I just found out, I don't know how I missed this on Friday. I guess because I was doing other things. Apparently Moody's downgraded U.S. credit rating. So U.S. just lost its perfect credit rating, its last perfect credit rating. Of the three major credit rating agencies, Moody's was the lone holdout maintaining outstanding rating of AAA for U.S. debt. Moody's held the perfect credit rating for the U.S. since 1917. So, hey, what's up, Blair? We talked about Ray Dalio a month or two ago, and maybe this is, I mean, it's going to be a slow road down, but maybe this is the next step down the staircase, if you will. Let's just call it a staircase. That sounds about right. Wonder who else is not. Look at all those things still loading on this page. That's crazy. So yeah, but that is a thing. We'll see if it leads to different market action. Looks like it did in the stock market as the market sold off on that news, but Bitcoin didn't seem to care too much. And at the moment, it's looking pretty good actually. I'm not really too mad at what Bitcoin's doing right here. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. We're holding some lows. We held the lows through the week here on Thursday, and then so far we're still being able to stay above them. So that's your recent high. That seems to encapsulate the price action at the moment, which does look like a form of a bull flag from that perspective. I don't think anything major to do at the moment. Things are looking okay. What's up, Mike? 10-day moving average, we're into that. The 21 days a little ways out. 50 and 200 are much further down in the low 90s. So we'll see if we do get a pullback of sorts. Most things are doing rather well. I've got to say, considering where we're at and where we've been, um, we've come back pretty nicely. I like it overall. So this trend line probably is just gonna get broken or walked through. That's the most recent rally from these lows in about a month ago. So that's doing okay. Volume's still declining. That's a bit of a concern for the rally to continue. Ideally, you'd like this volume to remain heavily steady. Um, so now the question becomes, now that we're up here fighting with these highs again, what happens from here? Are we able to overcome? Well, our low volume situation so far says likely not. Do we chop sideways? Well, that's always a possibility, but we just had a sharp rally, so sideways actually would be good. Or do we pull back? And if you take a look at what the market likes to do, generally in these situations, so you look at a prior established high, you look at getting back up to that high. Here's an example. You do a little bull flag, which is we're in, then it pulls back in. Actually tests the lows, undercuts it a number of times. Look at the last time we were kind of on the way up. Here is one. We can go back to, we can go here. Let's just take this rally up from 13K up to where we're at now. All right, so this is a rally all the way up. This isn't like at highs. Highs are here, then we eclipse the highs there. So just taking, you just look at the price action. What typically happens when we come back and retest, and we can take volume into consideration too. So we have a rally, goes for a bit, pulls back. Won't really count this yet. Then it comes back up. Okay, here it goes above. Then you have a head and shoulders pattern here. It goes down. Then it pops back up towards the prior high. Bull flags out. Okay, that could be considered a similar situation. Looks pretty similar, actually. And then flags out, goes sideways, loses momentum. Volume is still relatively heavy up here, too. Much heavier, much more consistent. But then it just loses interest, goes back, tests the prior low, consolidates sideways. We could put boxes around all these if you want to, but you get the gist of it. Goes sideways here, comes back through all these moving averages because it kind of went back into the moving averages. We were above them, kind of like we are now. Came back down, tested lows, sideways, then up. Okay, so you have this opportunity to move up out of a, arguably a cup and handle. Then it fails to, I guess we'll zoom in. So there's your cup and handle. That's going to bring all my trend lines back when I do this. There's your cup. There's kind of your handle. Flails a little bit at the highs, loses momentum, comes back down, tests, then breaks out, and then continues on. I don't know. Arguably, that seems a little bit more likely than us just continuing on. But that's just a scenario, right? There's could be other ones. But so here it comes back. This doesn't even get, this gets towards the area, but then it breaks out right through it. You have a couple of little high volume area. Volume actually starts to increase. This average volume line starts to increase as we slowly turn up. Then it just pops. So here's a bull flag, gets pretty choppy, pulls back, and then goes. Bull flag, not near a prior high, just on its own, extends up. Another bull flag extends up, but you start getting more choppy, high volume candles on selling pressure, and that leads to another larger horizontal. And that horizontal turns into a little bit of a, yeah, there, that's the trend line I was wanting to draw right there. Ascending channel. And then we end up with this on the way up. And now we're doing it again, it seems like. It seems like we are once again near a high. Volume isn't tremendous. It's actually kind of a lower volume rally, volume declining as we go up. So I like it up here, but I just have to say, why would it just decide to pop out of here? So it could. Volume is going to be the key to that, though. If this declining volume trend, if this goes up and we have declining volume, in other words, we don't get halfway through the day if we're not at average volume, that's not going to be a good outcome very likely for this. A rollover at some point does seem more likely to me. Pull into the moving averages, and you can just look at the volume signatures too. So here, rallying up past highs, right? There's some volume stepping in as we're rallying past these highs. Right there. We test, we base for a while, then we break out, go past highs, and then start to stall out on lower volume. And that lower volume trend has continued. Now, we haven't completely broken trend. We were actually able to quite dramatically make a V recovery out of breaking this pi method trend line, but I don't think it's going to be this trend line. Ideally, it lasts, but I'm not sure. Now, actually, at this stage, really what we should do is move this because we did overcome it. So we do get a little bit more runway. Yeah, that's the right trend line there. I wasn't really considering that. Hey, what's up, Loopy? Lowest amount of Bitcoin on exchanges since 2018. Billionaires are purchasing it all. Really? Is that a thing? Billionaires purchasing all Bitcoin? Billionaires are buying a BlackRock ETF. MicroStrategy. I guess who are the biggest Bitcoin holders? Satoshi Nakamoto. Is this guy really Satoshi? Wow. That's like 5% of Bitcoin. That's pretty cool. So yeah, who does own the most amount of Bitcoin? I actually don't even know. Yeah, there's a lot of millionaires, not really a lot of Bitcoin. Billionaires buy all kinds of stuff. Oh, is that who that guy was? I've seen the face before. Yeah, I've seen the face before. That's funny. That's funny. I was watching some show and there was this lawyer. No, I think it was maybe just like a YouTube short or something. There's this lawyer was supposed to be representing the Satoshi Nakamoto, and they're like, "You're Satoshi Nakamoto." They were talking about the lawyer. He's like, "What?" I don't know the end result because it was a short, but I thought it was an interesting hypothesis for a show. So yeah, I'm sure billionaires are buying. They buy everything. They have all the money. You know, um, listening to another thing, and he had a good perspective on why the rich just keep getting richer. And I thought it was pretty cool. He's like, let's say he's talking about the Prime Minister of England. This is an English trader. He's a currency trader, I think. I've seen him in one other interview on the Diary of a CEO. Um, he was talking about, hey, look, if you're worth 70 million bucks, and let's say you want to make 5%, that's 30 million bucks a year that you're going to make. That's $50,000 a week. He's like, you can't even spend 50 grand a week. So you're just automatically accumulating more money than you're spending just by having that much money. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting perspective. Interesting perspective. What up, English? No, no, no one said English. What are you doing here? Is this like the Batman symbol? That's funny. English is Batman. Are you Batman English? Wouldn't that be funny if Clark Kent um be funny if Clark Kent ended up with like a logo and anytime someone like slapped the Clark Kent logo on something, he showed up. And like, that's what Batman does. He's like, oh shit, I missed that detail. Anyway, I had that thought for a second. Yeah, but I mean, Bitcoin's been pretty stable. I mean, compared to what it's been in the past, and we used to talk about this, years ago at this point, about Bitcoin's volatility lessening, lessening and lessening, and it's been doing exactly that. I wonder if there's like a volatility indicator, historical volatility. Yeah, see, just bam, flattens out. I don't even know what that does, but it looks about right. It's just, yeah, it's just gonna get flatter and flatter. A lot of us are looking for these parabolic moves. We're going to get mini parabolas, but I think they're just going to be much fewer and much farther between. A little bit like gold, the actual gold. There's really not a lot of parabolas in gold. But yeah, if you look at this volatility trend is doing just that. It's just, man, look at that trend line. That goes back. Wow. Holy crap. All right, so this mathematically doesn't doesn't math out because we're going to have to go to zero eventually. So, all right, whatever the price is at Monday, June 19th, 2028, that is the final price of Bitcoin. There will be no more volatility. That's it. Would that be a bear? That would be a bear flag. This actually would be a bear flag. So we would end up with negative volatility. Yeah, I mean, 100% Loopy. I never looked at it in this perspective before. I don't even know what this indicator is. I've never used it before, but um, yeah, I mean, it shows on the chart too, right? It just completely, the volatility gets less and less and to the point where, doubles become, well, yeah, more difficult. Even 200, those 20Xs you're talking about is going to become more difficult. I mean, it'll probably get there, but it's going to become harder and harder. Yeah, but that's the thing, Picker, is that, and here's the thing. I mean, I guess look, if you've got 10 Bitcoin already, right? If you got um, a decent amount of Bitcoin, the dollar the dollar term will matter. But if you're just trading, if you don't like necessarily hold a tremendous amount of Bitcoin, and just looking at it as a tradable asset, it's the least volatile crypto. You're looking elsewhere anyways, and yeah, that's just gonna be one of those things where we're looking for these big moves up, but and see that's another thing when you go to this weekly volume as well, or when you go to the weekly chart, look at the volume. Looks a lot like Apple's chart. Looks like every chart of any big asset that no one ever wants to sell. The volume decreases a tremendous amount. So yeah, yeah, look, let's say you have 10,000 bucks, right, and you want to put that into Bitcoin today. Going up 10x is great, but it's still only 100,000. It's good. It's good to have 100,000. You need 100,000 to make a million, but then to go from a million to 10 million on BTC, that's a whole other ball game. Whole other ball game. Yeah, so you're looking at this and yeah, wondering where the volatility is going to come from. Well, but from that perspective, you end up looking at these trends and trying to ascertain these trends and make wise choices there. Yeah, savings account maybe, you know. That's true. I mean, maybe look at Bitcoin's annual return the past, you know, maybe this may be something good for ChatGPT. What are the top 10 assets of the last 5 years in terms of compound annual growth rate? Let's see what chat comes up with here. It's going by stocks. What about BTC, GLD, and other non-stock investments, but also treat index funds as stocks? I don't want individual stocks. About 50? That's a great savings account. I agree with you on that. That's pretty good. CAGR 13 for gold. Really? Well, that's because it's been going up like crazy this year. That's the 2024. It's not even including this year's run. QQQ 22, SPY 15. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. 60% compound annual growth rate. That's not bad. Yeah, that's still really good. Nasdaq's been doing good too. I wonder what the TQQ. TQQ's three times the Nasdaq. So if it's doing 22%, I wonder what the TQs are doing. 31? What? Yeah, I guess with the down draws. 3101. Yeah, I guess get your BTC, paper wallet it, and yeah, good. Yeah, I agree. Probably the best savings account there is. Yeah, it's 60%. Yeah, I really can't disagree with you on that. 60%. That's really good. I mean, most people aren't getting 60%. That's a fact. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And the reason I chose 5 years is because I mean, if you go back past 2017, um, and 5 years is 2020, May. So I guess that's kind of at the start of the bull run there, but if you bought any earlier than that, you probably bought lower anyways. So it looks like it was a good time for me to. Looks like 5 years was about the right time frame. Yeah, it goes from 10,000. It's basically 10x. Will it 10x in the next 5 years to a million? It's maybe. I guess that's possible. Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know how they yeah, I don't know how that works. I mean, they got to use Google unless they ideally if they were smart, they just create their own search engine, but it's probably cheaper just to use Google. Yeah, AI is cool. I like AI. I've been using some stuff with Claude. I think Claude is more accurate than ChatGPT. ChatGPT is better to talk. I like their talking feature. So I actually subscribe to both on my phone. I'll just talk to chat because it's conversational, makes it really easy. It's not very great, but it's good. It's good for me to talk my thoughts out about, things. If I want to work on something though, I'll go to Claude and I got their desktop stuff. Oh, I have this doing a research project right now. And it's 10 minutes in. So, yeah, so I'm having it go through Can Slim, Wyckoff, Jesse Livermore, and other proven people. Hopefully it gets Dan Zanger in there. I forgot about Dan Zanger. But yeah, so apparently Claude does like deep research stuff. They said between 5 and 45 minutes, so I got this thing just clocking, just seeing what's going on. It's pretty fun. 1 million by 2030? Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another 10x like I was talking about, right? Went from 10K down here to 100K. That's 10x over 5 years, about 60%. So the math should math up that way as well. But regardless of the number on BTC, and this is the thing that, especially for guys like me, like I have a really hard time putting my money in something and letting it sit there. I mean, it's just not the nature that I've built of the person I built myself to be. Um, I have a hard time just like I couldn't put all my net worth in Bitcoin and just let it sit there. I just couldn't do it. I mean, I'd have to be out during the big down draws. I'd have to time the market. It's just how I'm built at this point. It just is what it is. But let's get back to more current stuff. We'll go through the top 20. There's only a couple alts, although alts aren't looking too bad. Someone mentioned hopefully altcoins going up. I think they'll have their day again. A lot of them seem to have established decent lows, and I'm hoping generally things have been established at this point. So bringing back in our trend lines here, bringing back in all this, like what we started talking about a bit ago, it seems likely and very rational that we should come back and test these lows, 75 probably, 75, 80. Maybe we don't get down there. Maybe we undercut further. If we're extraordinarily lucky, we'll hold this upper trend line. And just to bring that back into perspective. So this line goes from the lows. This is an important line. This one is the current trend line. If it breaks this one's in play. You look at the RSI, look at the volume aggregation tool too. VA tool shows selling picking up a little bit here. Some good pocket pivots. Not a lot of selling pocket pivots though. So, but I mean, I think that's what's likely. Don't go selling on that. You don't sell on analysis of charts. You sell on action. But you get a rejection of the high, that could be a selling event, could be even a shortable event. You take it back to this Wyckoff scenario, you got a failed swing high right there that gets rejected on high volume. That's an actionable shorting signal. And then, retesting this trend line was actionable shorting signals all the way down. So, what side of the bed Powell wakes up on? Are you a Powell hater there, Loopy? The funny thing is, anytime anyone's in power like that, nobody likes him. How do you become chairman of the Fed? Aren't you appointed or something? Like, is it a presidential appointment? Do presidents appoint Fed chief? President appoints a member of the Federal Reserve Board of the governors, including the chair. Okay. 14-year terms? I didn't even know they had terms. Timing the market beats timing the market? Yeah, it depends on the market. I murder the stock market. I don't think I would have murdered Bitcoin though, if I just bought and held Bitcoin, you know? But that's just the nature of the beast, man. And at this point I do have some BTC that just sits in a cold wallet. And I'm fine with that. I should have been adding to it is really what I should have been doing. Yeah, the Bitcoin savings account, I do like that idea. I think that's pretty cool. Especially if it's a cold wallet, like a paper wallet, you laminate a paper wallet or something. I think that'd be really neat. Yeah. You know they added Coinbase to the S&P? I think that's pretty fascinating. Like what's Coinbase's market cap? We'd love to hear your feedback. Go away. You don't want, I don't want to take it. I hit X, you idiot. See? Look at that. All this crap loading on all these stupid websites. I don't want to take your survey. Really? You're going to force me into the survey? Okay, go away. Holy crap. How horrible is that? Yeah, market's closed really high. Coinbase market cap $67 billion. Do they make money? They do make some money. Look at that. They make $1 billion. 80% gross margin. Wow. 21% profit margin. That's pretty good. So here you go, Coinbase, the one of the biggest ones. He's been stubborn because of Trump. Nah, I think Powell's done a pretty good job. No one's perfect. I mean, what are you trying to, we just here timing the market beats timing the market, and then you want Powell to time the economy. I think it's funny. I think it's funny. I mean, it's all a big catch 22, man. Can't do anything right. Top five assets. Look at that. Apply Digital. I told you guys 5 years ago you got to buy Colibri Global Energy. I told you guys Colibri Global Energy. What is that one? I want to look at that now. KGEI. What is this thing? Huh, interesting. 2% bond market, 0.8% CAGR. Bonds are horrible. Don't buy bonds. Never buy bonds. 11%. Anyway, Coinbase hacked again. Yeah, you see the CEO's response was pretty cool. All right, we're way off topic. Now I'm just chatting with you guys. We're way off topic. So, I mean, I like what I see up here, but just looking at the situation we're in, and the lack of volume and pressure and things of that nature, I think we're gonna pull in. That's my opinion. It'd be nice if we were to stay stable and pop up. The intraday looks like it could do that. The question is, will it? But we're pretty neutral now at the moment. Really, anything can happen. It's held up a little better than I thought it would though over the past couple of days. I thought maybe we'd start turning down some, but we haven't really been doing that. We also haven't been turning up either. We've pretty much been staying in the middle of this overall range, which is fine by itself. All right, let's go down the top 20. All right, Ethereum pulling in a little bit, undercutting lows from a couple days ago this morning, and then staying down. This looks a little more like what I thought Bitcoin would look like. So, but Ethereum also in declining volume. Um, yeah, we'll see how this goes. Hold on a second. I'm hearing some noise. I gotta go check out. Actually, I can't pause it. It's live. Hold on a sec though. All right, sorry about that. My kid came home early. That was weird. All right. Yeah, so Ethereum down a little bit and looking, I thought Bitcoin would look more like this, which obviously does not look very good. We're not getting a tremendous amount of volume in yet, but, could be incoming. A reversal on Ethereum. I mean, I liked the move up. I'm not a big fan of this action. I've been trying to figure out a way to make this, to see if there's any bullish cues to it. I mean, maybe holding the 2275 would be good. That's above where we stalled out on this high volume candle. It's been a little difficult to get past that level. Keeps coming back into it. So that one's a little bit tough. Solana also moving lower, broadening a wedge at the top here. Moving average testing, although, this thing could pull back at any time. And but it's still just like BTC, and you start looking at the alts. The alts can pull in. They have an established low, so playing in this area doesn't seem abnormal. I think it's actually normal. I think it's likely what could happen. We need to go back and test lows, make sure we're good, and know people want to sell, so we can turn back up. That's kind of what it feels like at the moment. But always with the hope that we stay going. BNB holding on this trend line for whatever that's worth. Distribution up here, high volume on the daily, and that could put in the top for BNB, as we really so far haven't been able to move up. XRP going through motions. Unfortunately, those motions are down at the moment. Trying to find some support right now. No, really no volume. Um, but XRP kind of just goes with the market at this point. It moves on its own news, and that's really about it. Doge still looks manageable, as odd as that sounds. A little bit of a bull flag here. The daily VA tool does show quite a bit of selling, and the 2 hour as well right there. But the pattern overall, I think, is a little bit more constructive than most out there at the moment. Seems managed well, but the angle of it, yeah, looking at it again, don't like the angle of it. It's a little bit too far down. I'd like it to be like this. It's like this. It's slight differences, but it'd be nice if it was like that. A little flatter, you know. But we'll see what happens with it. I mean, it's if the rest of the market looks like garbage and Doge looks okay, then Doge is the outlier, but it's probably not gonna perform. Cardano, rolling over, are already out of some of these highs up here, well underneath them. They actually acted as a pivot point at that 78.34 right there. You can see we got support on the left and resistance on the right. Tron choppy. Trying to make the right side of this. I mean, it still could go by itself. It did that, some years ago over here. We'll see if it's going to do it again. Not too bad, but hard to do anything with Tron. You really kind of have to arguably buy the lows, which can be difficult to do. And we're already extended at this point. Um, but if you buy lows, hopefully you get a tight stop loss. Shiba, Shiba lower, pulling in rather aggressive. This is not parallel with this. This is the one we had a trend line, parallel trend line against a trend line. It's not quite parallel. This one's not even close to parallel. So this is just a downtrend. If we're lucky, we'll get support down here near this 1300 level. Ton, a bunch of choppiness. Really nothing good happening here. Overall, looks like some type of a bear channel, bear flag setup. AVAX pulling in a little bit too hard right now. Left the highs well behind, has already undercut lots of levels, and it's just Hing. Small H pattern here on the 2 hour time frame, looking like it's ready to take a next step lower. Ideally, we'll find some support, but I'm not sure. The market may have to digest that Moody's downgrade of US debt. Sui bounced up nicely, and a flag never did try to break out, just rolled out of it. So much more random action. But what Sui does once it looks bearish, it pops right back up. So once again, be ready for that, as it did that a couple days ago right there. Bitcoin Cash, not looking too bad, pulling into a pivot point, but we'll see if that's going to remain that way, or if it's going to be just pulling in a lot more like the rest of the market. This one also could back and fill support down at the 275. We're at 389, so quite a bit of ways to go there for a lot of these if they want to head that direction. Chainlink lower, really not much to do there. Pepe broke all structure here late yesterday. That one's in a void right now for me. Um, maybe even an exit. DOT has just really been tough all the way around for a long time. Broke out of the inverted head and shoulders pattern, but look at that. We never even made the high. That does not bode well. I do not like this. I would argue it's not perfect, but I would argue it's a valid head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders pattern. For it to not get enough to get up to the target is a problem. So uh, another that's another vote of confidence in terms of the market rolling over to the downside. Near failing this pretty badly. Leo just chopping around. I don't know why anyone's in this at all. Litecoin. Litecoin. Flag looking sloppy. It has a semblance of a channel. It's just sloppy. There's a lot of slop in this. I'm not a fan of slop. With the market pulling in, can't imagine this would go any other direction than in or down. APT chopping lower. Maybe for lucky we'll find support there. That could be maybe a buyable situation if the market looks like it doesn't want to fall apart. Uniswap down 5%, giving, actually we didn't measure move this either, it looks like. Another inverted head and shoulders. That I say 75% is a hit. That's 75. But yeah, just barely. Just barely. And then rolling right over. If we're lucky, we'll get support at the breakout, which we're basically on. Or maybe even the neckline. But yeah, not looking very good. Things looking a little bit, still have OM on here. So things looking worse and worse the more I look at these charts and dig a little bit deeper. So Bitcoin holding up, but pretty much everything else, ETH starting to give up some lows. Solana gave up lows. BNB moving lower. XRP already gave up some lows. So already immediately out of the gate when you leave BTC behind, everything else doesn't look very good. Doge still fighting, but doesn't look like it has a lot of fight left. Cardano. And down the list, it just does not look good. MicroStrategy, let's take a look at MicroStrategy. So rising here, arguably in lower volume, got some high volume there. And we just rolled over from that, about that level, that high. So definitely finding some issues there. Let's take a look at the rest of these BTC derivatives. HUT doing pretty good. Now these are all BTC derivatives in their own right, little twists and turns on what they are. I don't even really fully know what they all are, but they should give you some kind of a feeling. Yeah, OM's just, geez. So the thing with something like OM, just like Luna, they get really freaking volatile. You know what I mean? Like if you can watch these, if you're a pretty decent at taking some day trades, like this move here, this move coming out of this low, you take a 20, 30% profit, sell it on the way down, bank 20%. Like that's 20%. That seems doable, you know? And then short it immediately because what happened to OM? I forget already actually. It's like a big seller came in, just sold. Wasn't that what it was? I think a big seller just sold everything. Jeez. Yeah, taking all the fun out of everything. Only 99% to go to the downside. Yeah. All right, let's keep going with these BTC derivatives. Riot Blockchain. Most of these are just in a big choppy disaster. Riot Blockchain is a big choppy disaster. Mara Holdings, big choppy disaster. CLSK, chopping pretty good. Yeah, not much to do there. WULF. Maybe trying to rebound on the upswing here if you're lucky. Volume looks pretty good. Well, it must have been with a move down like that. I don't know. Hard to tell these days. CIFR. They got up 21%. I wonder what for. Chart looks okay. A little extended for entry now. Gotta consolidate. IRAN, HUT, MicroStrategy. Yeah. Let's go over the stock market for a bit. So there's some late reaction to the Let's go to the futures. Nasdaq, S&P. So I believe that Moody's thing hit the markets already. So there was some sell-off. We'll see if there's some more digestion over the weekend. Um, I've been talking it during the show about, I mean, this is a rise in low volume. Should start to pull in at some point, and maybe Moody's downgrading U.S. credit is exactly the thing that's needed to back and fill this structure. Because, I mean, and I really don't have the bandwidth to to do all the research I need to do on this, but the impetus for the market rallying and it is basic. It's all news based, right? It's all uh, Trump tariff news, the good news coming out that some of the China tariffs were rolled back. Here's the 90-day pause. Tariff rollbacks, I think, happened here. Still rising in low volume after that. But are we actually in a position to take on all-time highs? Just from a fundamental level, from a fundamental economic level, is the economy that good? Is the Actually, I wonder if we have M2 money printing, is that still churning? What's the symbol for M2 money? I forget. It's been a while. Maybe they don't have one. I mean, are we to the point where we're printing dollars? To the point where we could get back. So M2 all-time high was April 2022. So here looks like is M2. Fundamentals were relevant. In crypto they're irrelevant because there are no fundamentals. When it comes to um yeah, no, I actually just so in crypto fundamentals are relevant because there are no fundamentals, right? Like there's just none. There are no fundamentals to crypto. Pretty much anything. It's all market. When it comes to global macro, it is all fundamentals. Okay, there's two sides to that. When I'm looking at an index, when I'm looking at an index, I'm looking at an amalgamation of the 100 largest companies in the Nasdaq, right? That's a huge chunk of the economy. I would argue, I don't know, 75, 80, 90% or something like that. The global economy is representative in the Nasdaq. S&P 500, or at least the US economy, S&P 500 probably 95%, you know? So it's 100%. Fundamentals are based on everything that you do when it comes to this. And you take a top-down approach. Okay? You take a top-down approach because I mean the biggest thing out there is the US money supply, the US money printing machine. That's by far the largest thing out there. So if this gets printing again, that is a fundamental fact that can get the market moving. Because what happens is it's a tide. Money coming in is a tide and it's going to lift all boats. And so that means the indexes are going to get lifted, which means the individual components of the indexes are going to get lifted. And so you have to take it from that approach. So, valuations are another. Uh, I, I, no one can be the arbiter of valuations. Okay, no one. See, here's the funny thing about valuations. I think I just hit it on the head. No one can be the arbiter of valuations. I really don't believe in PE ratios or valuations. I believe they're mathematical constructs, right? Because a valuation is a simple math equation. It's a division problem. It is market cap divided by, whoa, but what is it? Price? No, I'm sorry. Valuation is stock price times float. That's all it is. It's a mathematical construct. Valuations are basically earnings, price to earnings ratio. So it's a mathematical construct. Um, you want to talk UNH and PL chart? We look at the chart. That's what we do. We look at the chart. We don't look at valuations because they really don't mean anything. You look when Apple passed $1 trillion, everyone thought that was too much. What's it at now? I mean, Nvidia just passed it at three whatever trillion. So if you look at a PE ratio chart, it just makes no damn sense. It just makes no damn sense. the price action when it comes to stuff like that is really all that matters, you know. Now you look at United Health. Um, I mean, what a story. I actually just I read something on Reddit yesterday or Thursday. It must be, yeah, because I only saw this chart. Some guy made a ton of money shorting United Healthcare on this day. Like I don't even fully know the scope of what's happening. It doesn't sound good, but I don't know everything. I don't know the dynamics enough here. But there was a guy that was buying some calls on United Health to get back to whatever level. And I'm looking at this chart thinking 450 looks pretty good, because that's this big horizontal could bounce back into that and fail. That seems reasonable. You could also look at a gap level. So here's trying to back and fill this 300, whatever the low of this day was, 307. If you're really lucky and have a longer time horizon, 375 is the low of this gap, 376. So you could try to play a gap fill from that perspective. In terms of valuations, it doesn't matter. There's no rule saying you have to have an 18 PE or a 40 PE or a 300 PE. It's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. Anyone that's ever traded off of valuations, unless you're like major dip buying in like a Warren Buffett type of a strategy, that's the only way I think valuations can be somewhat valuable. But like every in say, I'm the opposite of guys that trade valuations. I'm the complete opposite. I don't look at them at all. But I will trade a chart pattern in a very high quality name, just like Warren Buffett will buy a very high quality name whose valuations are in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? Like if Warren Buffett, if he wants to buy this, at 254, he sees great value in that. That's a Warren Buffett trade, not a valuation trade. And maybe the valuation gets down to the single digits. I really have no idea. Homemade old fashioned beverages today. There you go. Yeah, so where's your P? 12 PE. So it's up, what was it up? 17%. So what would it have been yesterday? I don't know. 10 PE. So is 10 PE a good PE to buy United Healthcare? Probably. Maybe. I mean, look at the hammer candle it put on yesterday or Thursday for crying out loud. Just a monster, monster hammer candle. Yeah, someone picked up a lot of people picked up a lot of shares that day. Institutions bought the crap out of this. Is that low? Definitely could be. But valuations aside, right? Like it's a mathematical construct. Who's to say maybe someone had an algorithm buy it at 10 PE? I don't know. Beats me. But it's all mathematical constructs. I think Palantir, I mean, I heard they have a huge PE. But then again, yeah, you look at a 565 forward PE. You can probably find screeners and go to some other PE ratios that are insane. It's funny, PE is the first one. It's so stupid. I think it's dumb. So price to earnings ratio. So you look at these that are just astronomically crazy, and it's essentially because earnings fluctuate. PE ratio. Do you take trailing PE, trailing 12-month PE, trailing quarter PE, forward-looking PE, and what time frame for forward-looking? 1 year, 3 year, 5 years? So who gives a shit? It doesn't make any sense. Look at the chart. Chart will tell you what to do. But it's got to be a quality company. And PE doesn't tell you if it's a quality company. Is this the most high quality company in the history of mankind? Ramp? Live Ramp Holdings? Is this the fastest growing company? No. Not at 97, 900 PE. They just made $1. You know what I mean? So PE ratio means jack shit. Really means nothing. So 86 PE. Are these the fastest growing companies? One of them's going to be good, right? So I think PE ratio is garbage. Doesn't mean anything. M2 money supply is a thing. And looks like our money supply is kind of back up to the point where it was, you know, the highest it's ever been. So are we going to stay flat? Is this going to continue going up? If this is going to continue going up, And I actually don't know if it is. I mean, it's on a trajectory to do so. 21,762, 21,749. So maybe it is already at all-time highs. So if the M2 money supply is going to continue rocking, then maybe the indexes, that's a checkbox for the indexes, maybe can attempt a rally of all-time highs. It's possible. That's just one thing of many checkboxes that could be checked. Obviously, zero guarantees. No one knows what's going to happen. But I think it's something to look at, which is why I looked at it. Yeah, but if the indexes are going to be stable, um, I think that bodes well for breakout stocks. IBD has the market at 100% investment right now, which is their way of saying the market's really good. So we'll see what the next week brings as we rally in low volume. I mean, it's not super low volume. These have maintained a consistency this week, which is good. But with the Moody's thing, we'll see Sunday if it opens like down here, get a 3% gap down. You know, we didn't get too much so far. I'm not sure if I've got after hours on this or not. Session, electronic trading, regular trade. Yeah, so I've got the extended session on. So it didn't drop that much. And crypto didn't seem to give a shit at all. So, best case scenario, it's really a nothing burger. But Palantir, you talked about United Healthcare. You talked about Palantir. Palantir is right now testing this breakout. Look at the super low volume candles it printed Thursday, Friday. Really didn't move too much. It moved down after hours with the S&P news. So I'm not sure if that's a shakeout attempt or it's going to be a move. I guess we'll see. We'll see. Oh, and they're starting to do 24-hour trading on these stock markets too. So we'll see maybe Sunday when the futures open. I don't know when these electronic hours happen, but we'll see. I mean, Palantir is right now a very key stock market component, especially to these indexes, as its market cap is. What is its market cap? I got to be able to tell on TradingView. It's got to be a way to bring up fundamentals easily. No, I can't just bring up fundamentals. Okay, going back to FinViz again. 300 billion market cap. Is it going to be the next $1 trillion company? I don't know. Forward PE 176. See, here's the funny thing too. You look at maybe a way to look at PE, and it's just, exploring, thinking out loud here. The PE of 565 with a forward PE of only of 176. That's a big gap. It's not like this is 100 and this is 50, right? It's like this is 100 and this is 20. So you're still growing at a pretty good clip here. EPS year over year, trailing 12 month, 82%. Sales, 33%. EPS quarter over quarter, 90%. These are just blockbuster numbers. Wow, 80% gross margin. Profit margin only 18%. So, when that starts to improve, that'll be good too. But I mean, these are impressive numbers. All these earnings per share, sales per share, these are impressive numbers. But it's in a breakout territory. I do have a position in Palantir. Let's see if it continues rocking. If it rolls over, I'm out, and that's okay. That's okay. Um, so let's take a look at transports. Transports holding strong. Here's another thing. The transports are looking really solid right now. Look at them holding this gap. I think this is based off of the China news last weekend. And look at this tight action. This is really constructive. And usually it says how the transports go, so do the indexes. And so this is constructive. Until this falters, the indexes, I think, definitely have a shot, especially if M2 is popping like that too. So I think we're in an okay spot. Um, yeah. Any questions, guys? That's about it. Interest rates? What are interest rates? I don't even pay attention, man. Let's just look at the 10-year chart. Looks like it's been choppy. Um, yeah, the interest rate thing is a tough one. I mean, if the market's going to keep making highs, if the economy is stable, I think the Feds do nothing, to be honest with you. Um, the last thing that I heard, which probably isn't the last thing Powell said, he said He said when indecisive, do nothing. So he's thinking about lowering rates, but it's not enough. There's not enough data to actually back up lowering the rates, is what it sounds like to me. So he may just keep it stable for a while, you know? Um, he may just keep it stable for a while. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make, yeah, look how stable it's been since pretty much October 22. Pretty kind of range bound here. Does it go higher? I don't think so. I think it stays or he cuts a little bit. I mean, we're not, if we start having bad, PPI data and stuff like that, we could cut a little bit, but we're not going to see 2% rates again. We're going to be stuck 3 to 4, I think. Yeah, see, that's the thing. And that's why I think Powell's done an okay job. Like he hasn't said, "Oh, tariffs are going to, destroy the economy, so I'm going to lower interest rates." And I don't there's some people saying that's what Trump is trying to do with tariffs. Not me saying that, other people saying that. Um, is it a strategy I think he would employ? I don't know. It's tough to think he would do something like that. Um, but the whole thing that the game that he's playing, he's either playing against the world or against the Fed. Maybe he's trying to kill two birds with one stone. Um, that could be a factor. But he's already playing rollback card. Like he doesn't want the economy to tank. Okay, I'm not a Trump fan, but just thinking logically, Trump does not want the economy to tank. That why would he? You know what I mean? I know he wants America to do better, and whatever that means for him, right? That's the argument. That's the difference between people that have different viewpoints. It's what's your measuring stick in reality. What's your measuring stick, and what tool do you want to use? Those are the two things that people argue over. So, he wants America to do better. So he doesn't want these tariffs, eating in. Which it's funny. Uh, he had this. What was it? He put a tweet out. I don't know where I found it. He put this tweet out regarding um he was getting mad at Walmart. Trump. Did you guys see this Walmart tweet? Trump warns Walmart, do not raise prices due to my tariffs, but do eat the cost from those taxes. So obviously this is a headline that is a little bit politically charged. Uh, where's the tweet? They don't show the damn tweet. Wow, they took the text but not the tweet. Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. What is that? Like he literally put this out into the world for people to read. I find it fascinating the way this dude's mind works. Um, we should stop trying to blame tariffs. But I'm pretty sure Walmart's raising prices because of tariffs. Walmart made billions of dollars last year. So, in the same sentence, in the same tweet, I guess, he's telling Walmart what to say, blaming them for making money, which seems like a left wing thing to do, and tells them to eat the tariffs. It's just the most fascinating thing. It's just the most fascinating thing to me. I just don't. Yeah, here we go. I just don't understand it. I don't understand. I don't know why anyone likes this guy. This, this tweet makes no sense. I just don't get it. I do not get. This is the most Trump tweet. Should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. But if it is the reason, is it blaming? It's just every sentence makes less and less sense. Walmart, and then he emphasizes billions of dollars, like that's a bad thing. I thought you're a Republican. I don't get this. It's so funny. It's just so funny. And this is far more than expected. Probably not. It's probably a little bit, it's probably knowing Walmart, 1% below expectations or 1% above expectations, right? Like none of this is rooted in any fact. Between Walmart and China, they should, as is said, which no one says, eat the tariffs. So he's saying that Walmart should eat the tariffs or China should eat the tariffs? I don't understand. I just want someone to explain to me and not charge valued customers anything. I'll be watching and so we're what is this just makes no sense. None of this makes any sense. There's not a rational word in this whole tweet. Like seriously. Eh, okay, Walmart's a rational word. We know Walmart's an entity, but then saying should, okay, should is a very opinionated word. Stop in all caps. Walmart should stop. Okay, let's just stop there. What should Walmart stop? Um, let's just what could the possible things forget about the rest of the tweet. What are the possible things that Walmart should stop? Okay. Um, uh, I don't know. Paying people low wages? Okay, I guess that could be a thing. Maybe, make they should stop treating workers badly. They should stop what should they stop? I'm just trying to think of things. Those are the things that come off my head off the bat, you know? But trying to blame tariffs as a reason, that's not I never would have come up with that ever in a million years. It's just the weirdest thing. It's the absolute I don't know how he has supporters. I have no idea. It's funny. I earlier today, I don't want to go on Trump rants. I don't hate the guy. I just don't. It's just he's a shit president. Um, I was going to type something into Reddit into the world. I don't know if I was going to put it anywhere, but I was thinking earlier this morning. Actually, as I was reading this tweet, I'm like, I used to like Donald Trump. I think everybody used to like Donald Trump. Everyone used to be like, he was on The Apprentice. He was a billionaire. We always thought billionaires should run for president. You know what I mean? I remember when Ross Perot ran for president in '92. I used to do a Ross Perot impression. Don't care to do it right now, but I used to like Donald Trump. And then he walked down the escalator. I'm like, Mexicans? What the fuck's talking about Mexicans for? And then, um, it's just one thing after the other that he said or things he did. It just makes you dislike him more and more. The people that love the man, I don't get it. I mean, all he's a bully. He's an asshole. He's the definition of an asshole. I just don't get it. And then to put something like this out, it's just I don't understand. So I mean, but going back to what I was originally talking about, um, he doesn't want America to fail. He doesn't want, you know, and this tweet is a good example. He doesn't want prices to go up. He doesn't want inflation. Biden didn't want inflation. He just caused it. You know what I mean? And things happen based on the actions that you perform. You want to print $4 trillion, you're going to get inflation. That's what happened, right? Prints money, gets inflation. Duh. Listen to your fucking advisors. You know? Is Biden the worst president ever? I don't know. Probably not. There's one worst, one best, and not too many people are those two people. But Biden caused inflation. Trump is causing other problems, you know? But I think he wants to get better. If M2 money supply is going up, if Trump keeps rolling the tariffs back, which is what it looks like he's doing, that'll be good. It doesn't matter the terms he comes to be honest with you. Like, it's like, oh, this is the best deal. It's funny, he said I had a reset with China. It's like, what does a reset mean? It means you rolled back to what it was before you did anything? That's what a reset by definition means. And but it wasn't a reset to zero tariffs across the board, you know? Sometimes you like Trump, sometimes you don't. He's kind of a comedian of sorts. Well, the problem is he does real things that affects real people. That's the problem. And it's fine that he's a comedian. The dude's funny. The dude's a good interview. The dude's a number of things, but uh, and like look, everyone's got valid opinions. Trump's got some valid opinions. Trump's got some valid views on some things. We ship too many jobs overseas, absolutely. Um, but he's doing nothing to bring them back. I mean, yeah, he's done some stuff. I mean, as a president, you affect change. Yeah, he's done stuff. Has he brought some jobs back to the U.S.? I don't even know. I know manufacturing isn't rocketing through the roof in the United States. Those are the jobs, mainly the jobs we shipped overseas. The problem the problem isn't what he thinks about what's happening in the country. Some of it's accurate, you know. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff in the U.S. That needs fixing. A lot of things. I think the Doge agency thing is a good idea. I think it's a good idea. Um, is it being handled well? I don't know all the details. Uh, Accidentally canceling Ebola treatment in Africa, I think, is a problem. I think we should probably keep that in check. Um, so, they're going too fast. They just do things too fast. Uh, is Trump the worst president of all time? I don't know. He's probably my least favorite president just because he's a douchebag, you know? So his policies are just mean and unapologetic. And it's, counter to who we are. Have we gone too apologetic? Yeah, probably. You know, are we not hard enough? Yeah, we're not hard enough. We need to be harder on ourselves as a country, which is what Trump's trying to do. And I appreciate some of those things, but he's not doing it right. I don't think he's doing the right things in the right way for the right reasons. Um, but his why is accurate. Some of his whys are accurate. And the problem with him is I don't know who he listens to, but I really wish he would actually think some things through and put a quorum around him because I think he is someone that can get some stuff done. You know, especially given the people that freaking follow him blindly. It's crazy. Yeah, what are they going to bring back? And see, the other thing too, Midwest, is that they're going to have 10,000. Foxconn has like 1 million employees or something like that. You're not bringing 1 million manufacturing jobs to the U.S. If Foxconn comes to the U.S. and they're trying to, they're going to automate it. It's going to be automation. So you're going to go from 1 million workers to 10,000. You're going to bring back 10,000 jobs across 2 or 3 factories in some little ass town that gives them tax breaks. That's the reality. That's the reality. Detroit ain't coming back. Detroit's not going to be a manufacturing powerhouse again with hundreds of thousands of jobs and great paying jobs. It's not going to be that. I'm in Arizona. Like 6 miles north of me is the Taiwan Semiconductor plant. It's fucking massive, and I think it's going to employ, I don't know, TSMC in Arizona. Can't type. 12,000 jobs. 40,000 construction jobs that last 4 years, and after that, 12,000 jobs. Like I live 6 miles from this thing. Okay, maybe 12. I don't know. But um, you think I would see it? I'd be able to look out the window and see something. Well, I don't. You know what I mean? 6,000 total employees by the end of the decade from investing $100 billion. That's it. That's dude. It's and you think it's going to be 6,000? Probably 4,000. They'll get more. They'll get more automation in there. They'll find ways to cut. That's TSMC. It's a big bitch. I haven't driven by there lately, but it is a it is a thing, man. It is huge. Yeah. Yeah, University it's going back to Ray Dalio picker, going back, we talked, a couple about maybe a month ago about Ray Dalio's thing in the US being less dominant in the world, China's rise, us losing currency domination, things like that. I think this faces southwest. It could face northeast though. I don't see the. I'm trying to find perspective here so I know where we're at. Um, I completely forgot what I was talking about. Yeah. Um, what was I talking about? Jeez. Usually I can pull it back. I can't pull it back. But yeah, AI, automation, robots. Oh yeah, I was talking about the U.S. and Ray Dalio. Um, it's gonna be a thing. You know, I, Jeez, I can't even fathom. My kids are trying to become, both of them are trying to go into the sciences in some way, and uh, I think that, yeah, thank you. I think that you're not going to be able to, you're going to have to go into the sciences, or you're going to have to go into computer programming, or you're going to have to go into a very educated position. Otherwise, what are you going to do? It's good. What we're going to end up with is actually this is interesting. Let me think about this for a second. I was kind of thinking about this a while ago, but let's work through it. So, jobs left after AI. I got my microphone right in front of my face on my desk where I type, so I can't type very well. Jobs left after AI. We're going to have people that make AI, people that manage AI, right? Like the tasks they perform, people that do physical stuff, creativity. Yeah, I think some of those will end up in people that manage AI too. You know, this is really high level stuff here. So people that make AI, the Anthropics, the Googles, people that do physical stuff in the real world for now. So like trades, HVAC, construction, stuff like that. Lifting boxes will be done by robots in 3 years. Small businesses that can't afford AI until it becomes cheap. Sales jobs until AI takes half of those. I'm thinking like robocalls, stuff like that. I mean, it's going to be limited. Yeah, trades, HVAC, construction, plumbers, electricians, absolutely. And you know what's funny? I'm doing a remodel on my house right now, and I had to hire some plumbers, and fuckers want to charge me like $300 an hour. The company does. I'm sure the guy only makes like 60, $70 an hour. But jobs that will diminish, I'll say jobs that will diminish greatly, because that's what it is. So lower level copywriters, their first bid was $480 an hour. They wanted to want to charge me $2,900. They said it would take 6 hours. I'm like, you're out your freaking mind. And then I was looking for under 2 grand because actually what I'm asking for a plumber really isn't that complicated. Um, and I just didn't want to do it. I mean, I'm capable of it. I did the plumbing already. I just want them to fix a few things and so what I did, okay, so I got a 30-foot long trench in my house and another 10-foot trench. It's about 2 to 3 feet deep. Laid all the pipe, cut all the fittings, put all the things up. Me and a buddy did it, and it had some leaks. I fixed those. I have some more leaks now, and I'm like, well, I got to pass inspection, so I'm just gonna bring a plumber in just to get it done, so I don't have to. And I'm tired. I got shit to do. So anyway, he's coming in. Want to charge me $2,900. Says it would take him 6 hours, and I'm like, geez, man, that's crazy. So jobs will diminish low level lots of things. So even some low level lawyers will go away. Some, not all. In time, it will happen. I had an interview with a lawyer. He's like, I don't need first year associates anymore because of AI. So it's gonna be a thing. So low level lots of things. There's gonna be low level lawyers. Low level copywriters, low level lawyers, low level order takers. When you can talk to an AI that knows your business, you can take the order. Low level customer service will likely be automated very, very relatively quickly. Yep, fast food workers, those are the order takers. Yeah, those yeah, there'll be like two people left in a fast food restaurant once they fully automate. But a lot of that is robotics, not even necessarily AI. See, AI is mainly it does good at intern level shit right now. Any interns, intern level stuff, you're like, oh, I want to hire an intern. You can probably just hire an AI person to do that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I need someone to write all this copy for me. Get an intern. No, you just ask AI to do it. So, intern jobs will be fewer. And if you get them, they'll probably be higher level internships for anything that is non-physical. So yeah, it's going to affect a lot of people. When we finally do get automated vehicles, truckers, they will go down. I would argue at about 10% a year. Maybe okay. Let's say 3 to 5% per year decline. Secretarial work. I think some. Well, I think people will still like to talk to people, so I think secretarial work will probably. Well, okay, low level secretarial work. I was thinking like CEO assistants, like yeah, low level secretarial work. It'll decline. It won't go away though. There'll be some people that still want to talk to someone, but as AI gets better with conversation, that's definitely going to go the way of AI for sure. Yeah. So talking about universal basic income though, absolutely. Um, I I mean, if you look at look at the rates that people are paid right now. You know, inflation versus wages. Inflation and wages. What? Difference between the inflation rate and growth of wages in the U.S.? How about prior to that? I was looking for more, not just from 2025. I mean, wages have gone up, but not that much. Yeah, see, that's a problem right there. Yeah, we're just paid way too little. Our economy would be much better if we were paid more. Seriously. Seriously. Stagnant wages for middle wage workers, declining wages for low wage workers. But that doesn't take into account. Looks like 2013. Anyway. Anyway, yeah, AI is going to be a thing. They barely paced. Barely paced. Yeah. I mean, I'm at the job I've got right now, I barely make um so 20 years ago I had a job and I make $5 an hour more than I was making 20 years ago. Yeah. I could probably find somewhere and make another 5, maybe 10 if I find the right company, but it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But I even try to pull AI into my job. It doesn't do a good job though. It's not as good as I want it to be. Yeah, it is a shame. Fortunately, I got, I'm just really lucky that I have my brain and I like stocks and stuff, so it is what it is. But yeah, AI is going to take over a lot of the low level jobs. You're going to have a very high level job or you're going to have to go into the trades to really have any kind of you can't just get a job somewhere anymore because it's just too much competition. And because of competition, you're just not going to make any money. And so that's what I was trying to get at is that, with productivity, which I think I just closed out that tab, but with that productivity increase comes um, comes more competition for lower skilled work. And this keeps wages low. Yeah. No, the dollar's not the problem. The problem is efficiency and the fact that no one looks out for their workers. Period. 99% of companies out there don't look out for their workers. Very few do. Everyone's trying to make $100 million, but you only make $100 million if you don't pay your workers very well. That's it. That's all it is. It's just a big game, man. I'm coming to that realization. Like it's just a bit everybody wants the number. They want the bank account. They want someone to think that they're good because they're. So But that's what it is. I mean, look in reality, if if a company's making $1 million a year, right, and the owner's making 500,000, which isn't really realistic, but owner's making 500,000, he's got 5 employees. I don't know, I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass here, but the fact that like you look at public companies, you look at like an Apple. Apple could have given each of their employees $500,000 bonuses last year via the math that I did and what they bought in stock buybacks. That's insane. That's absolutely crazy. You put that, you put that money back into the workers' hands. Some are going to go to start companies. Some are going to pay off debt. Some are going to retire. Some are going to keep working and keep kicking ass. But you just don't pay anybody anything. They're trying to pay the least they can. Everyone tries to pay the least they can, and you end up with where we're at. And everyone at this point has seen the problem in the past 10 years. From 2015 to 2025, you've seen it. You've gone through pre-COVID where things were normal and you could do okay. You could do fine pre-COVID. COVID hits, economy slams on the brakes, they print a shit ton of money, people save a shit ton of money, people spend a shit ton of money, then they print $4 trillion, inflation goes up even worse, but that whole time wages have barely gone up. And they have gone up due to that inflation, wages did have to go up, which is why you saw, nobody working at restaurants anymore. But you can see the effect. You see housing prices get astronomically high, and it's undeniable, but no one is doing anything about it. The best the best thing you can do is pay people more money. That's it. It is an owner, you know, is if your company's not making money, you can't pay people more money. But if your company's making money and you're doing good, you should find a way to pay people more money. That should be your goal. How do I pay these people more? If everyone had that, if everyone had that mindset, our economy would be booming. But no, we try to suck up the money as best we can, and we don't pay people more, so we thrive at their expense. And if you're in charge of, have a small business in charge of 20 people, you're thriving on at 20 people's expense. If you got a company that has 100,000 employees, you're, you know, thriving at the cost of 100,000 people. That's capitalism. And I'm not even anti-capitalism. I think you can see. Here's the thing: you can thrive if you look at average um, executive pay over 50 years versus employees. I don't know if this is even going to be a chart, but it's not even CEOs. It's it's all executives, and it comes down to board members too, and then it comes down to these people hold the money. You know, so this is the most important thing in my opinion right here. Um, this is just a CEO. Yeah, just a CEO. But they used to make 20 times, then 30 times, and then they really started gaming the system, and now they're sitting at about 275 on average, maybe. I guess maybe a little bit more, almost 300 if you take this dark blue line. And that's just an example, right? They're sucking up so much money at the top that they 10x their pay, you know? But what's wrong with making 20 times more than the average worker? If the average worker is making 10,000 and they're making 100,000, I mean, that's really good, you know? And then, but now they're making 10,000 would make a million? Is that right? Is that right? I think so. Yeah. 10,000 would make a million, you know? Even if you brought this down to 100 instead of 20. So they go from making 100,000 to 500,000. That's still amazing, but it's just everyone being greedy. I took the risk. I make all the money. It's like, yeah, yeah, but at what expense? At the expense of everyone else. Like everyone. So, anyway, I think that's a whole thing. All right, guys, I'm just rambling at this point. How many are left? I don't even know. A few people here. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting. I hope the market, stays up, doing good. I like the way these transports are looking. I like, yeah. We'll see how Monday's open though. I think that's really going to be the thing. At least the U.S. has a minimum wage. That's why companies move to other countries so they don't have to pay anything. Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's a catch-22 because over the past, 25, 30 years, NAFTA was signed 30, 40 years ago, 30, 35 years ago. Damn, I'm old. Um, we have enjoyed a higher standard of living as Americans. We have enjoyed lower costs as Americans. We have enjoyed a burgeoning currency. We have enjoyed low inflation. We have reaped all of the benefits, but we're going to be paying the piper, and we're seeing that. We're seeing us having to pay the piper. And we're not used to it. It's uncomfortable. It is. I don't think it's going to get much better. I think it'll stabilize. I hope it's. I mean, if it stabilizes like this, I think it's manageable. If it gets worse, it's going to become unmanageable, and then you're going to see political extremes really go to the left and really go to the right. Um, and I used this analogy a while ago, and it I used this analogy a while ago. It's like when you go to your boss, when you've been working for a company, you go to your boss, say, boss, I need to make an extra buck an hour. I've been here for 5 years. I haven't gotten a raise. He goes, yeah, no, I can't do that. Sorry. And you still stick around, right? And then, you know, th- prices go up, prices go up. You're like, boss, I need that dollar, man. Just not keeping up. I just can't get ahead. It's like, yep, sorry, can't do it. But then they're raising prices. They're raising prices on their customer. Maybe the boss drives a nicer car, talks to his employees about his nice vacations and stuff like that. And you can't get your dollar. He's just not giving you your dollar with whatever excuse he pulls out of his ass. And then eventually you need a $10 an hour raise. And he's like, $10? That's crazy. And maybe it sounds crazy to you because you went from, 20 asking for 21. Now you got to ask for 30. It's just because you didn't give him the buck. You know, give the guy the buck. That's okay. It's, but that's the problem that we're running into as a nation is that we've asked these companies for years to raise wages and to pay people more, and it hasn't happened. And eventually, what's going to happen is the left is going to have to ask for everything on the table because there's nothing left. Because there's no, and if you want to get back to equitable, it's a much larger bridge to jump than it was initially. Initially, it's like, okay, well, let's do A, B, let's do this. That would make it nicer. Instead of going, yeah, that would be good. I can afford that. Let's do that. They say, no, I want to keep that money. Fuck you. And it just let's now we need A and B to get back to equitable. Well, no, I can't do that. Let's not do that. How about A, B, and C? As things get worse, right? Things progress. Things get worse. It's going to get to a head, um, and it's not going to be pretty when it does. Yeah, and there's nothing to do about it except for buy Bitcoin, I guess. Yeah, put all your savings in Bitcoin. All right, guys, have a good day. Thanks for letting me ramble. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys around probably next live Power Hour show. This is a live preview of my Power Hour, supposed to be at least. All right, guys, have a good day. Stay safe out there. I will see you guys next time.